2 years ago, I sat alone in my apartment on my birthday. Not one friend showed up, not one family member called. I was completely abandoned by everyone I thought cared about me. Today, those same people are literally begging me for jobs. And some of them are actually working for me now. But this isn't just another rags to riches story. This is about what happens when the people who abandon you during your darkest hour suddenly want back in when you're shining. Buckle up, because this Mindburn story is going to mess with your head. My name is Sarah, and 18 months ago, I was what you'd call a hot mess. I'm talking about rock bottom, the kind where you can't even see the light anymore. I was 28, recently divorced, struggling with depression, and I'd just lost my marketing job at a startup that went under. My savings were gone. My credit cards were maxed out, and I was 3 months behind on rent. But here's the thing that really broke me. When I needed support the most, everyone in my life just vanished. And I mean everyone. Let me paint you a picture. My birthday party, I'd invited 23 people. Close friends, family members, co-workers from my old job, people I'd been there for through breakups, job losses, family drama. I spent my last $200 on food and decorations. 0 people showed up. Not one. I sat there for 3 hours, watching the pizza get cold, checking my phone for excuses that never came. But that was just the beginning. Over the next month, I reached out to everyone in my contacts. My college roommate, who I'd helped through her addiction, can't talk right now. My sister, who I'd lent $3,000 to. I'm really busy with work. My best friend from high school. She blocked me on social media. Suddenly, I was invisible. The girl who always showed up for everyone else was completely alone when she needed someone to show up for her. I spent 2 weeks in bed, not showering, barely eating, questioning everything about myself. Was I that terrible of a person? Had I been living in some fantasy where I thought these relationships mattered? Then, one night, I was scrolling through Instagram, seeing all these people living their lives like I'd never existed, and something clicked. I realized I'd been waiting for someone to save me, someone to believe in me, someone to give me permission to be okay. That's when I made the decision that changed everything. I stopped waiting for other people to validate my worth. I decided to bet on myself, even when literally no one else would. I had one skill that I was genuinely good at: digital marketing. But instead of looking for another job where someone else controlled my destiny, I decided to freelance. With my laptop and $50 in my checking account, I started reaching out to small businesses. I offered to run their social media for dirt cheap, just to build a portfolio. Most said no, but a few said yes. I worked 16-hour days. I learned new platforms, studied successful campaigns, and treated every client like they were my only client. I was sleeping on my friend's couch, the one friend who didn't abandon me, and eating ramen noodles for every meal. But something amazing started happening. My clients' businesses grew. Their social media engagements skyrocketed, their sales increased, and they started referring me to other businesses. 6 months in, I landed my first big client, a restaurant chain that was struggling with their online presence. They were skeptical about hiring a freelancer, but I created a campaign that increased their online orders by 340%. In just 2 months, that success story opened doors I never imagined. Suddenly, I had more work than I could handle. I was turning down clients, raising my rates, and for the first time in my life, I was financially stable. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember all those people who disappeared when I needed them? They started reappearing when I started succeeding. It started with social media. People who hadn't liked my posts in over a year were suddenly commenting on everything. So proud of you. Always knew you'd make it. We should catch up soon. Then came the texts. My sister wanted to reconnect. My college roommate heard I was doing well and wanted to meet for coffee. My former co-workers started reaching out about opportunities to collaborate. But the moment that really got me was when I decided to hire my first employees. I posted on LinkedIn that I was looking for social media specialists and marketing coordinators. Guess whose resumes landed in my inbox? That's right. 3 people who had completely ghosted me during my lowest point were now applying to work for me. I'm not gonna lie, part of me wanted to reject them immediately. The petty part of me wanted to write back, sorry, I'm really busy right now, and see how it felt. But I realized something important. This wasn't about them anymore. This was about the person I wanted to become. Did I want to be someone who held grudges? Or someone who built something bigger than her pain? I interviewed all 3 of them. And you know what? I hired 2 of them. Not because I'm a saint, but because they were genuinely qualified, and my business needed good people. But during their first week, I had a conversation with each of them. I didn't bring up the past directly, but I made it clear that loyalty and showing up for people mattered in my company culture. Now I pay the salaries of people who once made me feel worthless. But here's the thing I learned. Their abandonment wasn't really about me. It was about them. People often abandon others not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to handle their own discomfort with someone else's struggle. They're not equipped to deal with pain, so they run from it. Building this business taught me that my worth was never dependent on other people's ability to show up for me. My value comes from what I create, how I serve others, and the impact I make. Today, I run a digital marketing agency with 12 employees and 6-figure monthly revenue. We work with over 50 clients, and I'm genuinely proud of what we've built. Do I trust those former friends the same way I used to? Absolutely not. But I've learned to separate business from personal relationships. They're good employees, and I'm a good boss, but we're not grabbing drinks after work. The biggest lesson: sometimes the people who abandon you are actually doing you a favor. They're showing you who they really are, and they're forcing you to discover who you really are. I'm grateful for that lonely birthday party now. It taught me that I'm enough, all by myself. And when you truly believe that, you become unstoppable. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been abandoned by people you thought would always be there? How did it change you? Drop a comment below and share your story. I read every single one. And if you're currently going through a season where you feel alone and abandoned, I want you to know that this isn't your ending. This is your beginning. Hit that like button if you needed to hear that today. If you want more Mindburn stories about people who turned their pain into power, subscribe and ring that notification bell. Trust me, the stories I have coming up will blow your mind. Remember, the people who leave you during your storm weren't meant to be part of your sunshine. Sometimes you have to walk alone to discover just how strong you really are. I'm Sarah, and this has been another Mindburn story. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep believing in yourself, and never let anyone else's inability to show up dim your light. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting back at people who hurt you, it's becoming so successful that their opinion of you becomes completely irrelevant.